GPT 5.5 is already smarter than most of us, surely smarter than me, but the only thing that makes me a better engineer is that I have more context. You can literally do anything. It's like fascinating to build with Codex every day. Thank you so much for coming. Super excited to be in London with all of you. I literally had the idea on Sunday night in SF. I was laying down in bed, I think at like 11 p.m. my time. I thought, wait, I'm flying to London tomorrow. I wonder if I could do more with developers in London. I texted Andy. By the time I woke up, I saw a Lumo page up. And then I boarded my flight, which I had no Wi-Fi. And by the time I landed, we were at like 600 plus signups already. This was insane. So I guess this is the one maybe that's like too close. Oh, the hand mic? Okay, let's do the hand mic. It's going to be harder with the demos, but it's going to be fine. Oh yeah, it's fine. Cool. So yeah, super excited to be here. It's funny, on the way here with Vivi and Jimmy, I was asking them like, wait, what should we present as content? And Vivi was like, no slides, just vibes. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna open up the Codex app. Well, maybe for all of you that use the CLI still, I mean, obviously we love the CLI. We started there. The CLI is open source. That's also where a lot of the harness for Codex is, and it's also open source. We care a lot about that. And effectively, the app is just a new interface, right, to access this. But the reason why we built it is because we saw so many developers having screens working like this. It's like you start with 2 agents, and then you end up like Peter Steinberger, who had like 15 in parallel to build OpenClaw. And then you start like kind of losing track of like which agent is asking for my attention for what, and then which server is running everywhere. And we'll let those two run. So that's why we build the Codex app, right? Like, and the idea is to have a very elegant and simple interface for you to have all your projects in one place. And also an interface that kind of morphs itself depending on what you need. And you've probably seen us do like a lot more of that in the past like few weeks. And so first capability, for instance, that's kind of cool. Like I just like issued a prompt to say like, hey, like, can you make an illustration for tonight? And boom, right away, like we have like the beautiful ImageGen 2. If you have not tried ImageGen, it's pretty outstanding now because like, remember like a year ago, most of the ImageGen that you could generate would have typos in text. Now it's extremely challenging to find one typo. Even like asking like to generate a book, like all of the little characters would be correct. So it's pretty mind-blowing. But what's also interesting is the idea that like you can really delegate agentically and have like a better control command center almost, you know, like for instance, like this project Wanderlust, I have not really worked on it for a while, so I can just say, upgrade all of the dependencies, Next.js, and all of the node modules, and make sure there's no like security issues in there. Just I can fire that off, and it might take 10, 20, 30 minutes, but I don't really mind because I'll check back on that later. So that's really the idea of like delegating agentically. Maybe I'll highlight a few things that are new as of like a couple of weeks ago. One thing that's very new in the spirit of like Codex for almost everything, as we called it, is like this like catalog of plugins. We started with just a dozen of them. Now there's more like 120 plugins in there, and we keep adding more every week. We want to make sure Codex has all the context to all of the tools you use, right? Like GPT 5.5 is already smarter than most of us, surely smarter than me. But the only thing that makes me a better engineer or a better employee is that I have more context. And so if you give all of this context to GPT 5.5, it can really become a teammate that helps you. So for instance, like Gmail, Linear, whatever your bug tracker can be, like Slack to stay on top of everything. And we'll show some of these in action here. So meanwhile, we see here, for instance, that like it's cranking still. It's like finding all of the builds and things to update. One thing that I really want to highlight, and I know it's not available in Europe just yet, but we're very excited about it, and we'll do our best to bring it to Europe very, very soon. It's computer use. And if you have not seen it in action, you're actually missing out, which is why I wanted to show it to you tonight, because it's unlike every implementation of computer use that exists out there. Like anyone that has talked about computer use has shown it in a way where like you ask an agent to do a thing on your computer, but all of a sudden you can't use your computer anymore because then your agent is clicking around and doing things. And so I really want to show you like a little bit of how this one works. So here, for instance, I have this app that I've been building for iOS, and I simply tell Codex, build and run the app, right? But what if I actually want to QA the app? I can basically say, can you open the simulator and click from the first to the third tab in the navigation? So I could send this prompt, but I'll show it to you before here because it's something interesting. Obviously, if I send this prompt, Codex will understand. But like here, if you @mention, any app on your computer becomes available to Codex. So it's not just the plugins like Gmail, it's also like the app on your computer. So I can say like, hey, can you open this app and click through? So if I send this task, what's interesting is that it would allow me to I should allow Codex to control it. I just did already. But now if you take a look at this, it's now clicking through the things and it had its own cursor. It's not my cursor because I'm still using it. So it's really, really cool. And to show you maybe how you can combine these things for some ideas, let me find a new idea. Maybe I'll send the first prompt here. I don't know how long it will take, but let's say, can you take a look at my email? And I must have received an email from VB about the Codex community event. Can you pull the list of attendees and pick 3 out of them that were accepted to come tonight? Literally, I have no idea if it works. I'm just going to try. So it's probably going to try to understand that my email must be Gmail, connect to the plugins and everything. We'll give it a few seconds. We'll come back to it. It's looking through my Gmail. So we'll give it a second. Another thing I wanted to show you is the in-app browser, right? Imagine you're building web apps. Often you go back and forth, and in the past we all used Chrome DevTools to do things, to adjust the CSS and everything, which was great at the time, but now that we're building with agents, we can do so much more. And so the really cool thing about having an in-app browser, let's say for this fitness app I'm working on, is that not only can I visualize in real time, I can also comment to give context to the agent. So for instance, I can say, hey, change this with the date of today. Boom. And then I'll just fire that off, go do it. And then I can keep on highlighting things and commenting. And so maybe I can say actually make this bigger, make this smaller, make it an animation over here. And sure enough, it's probably gonna take a few seconds to figure out the right React component here. I actually have the app maybe translated, so it's probably gonna try to also figure out where to put this. It doesn't want our code, it wants to do the right thing, so that's Codex being relentless. So it's gonna do it. But really cool idea to have this in-app browser that you can use, and of course you can maximize it, you can really be in the flow right there. So really, really convenient. Meanwhile, if we take a look at, I see, the date of today just appeared, perfect. Let's take a look at these attendees. It sounds like we have those 3 attendees that were selected right there. So here, I can also say, can you use Chrome to open 3 new tabs to pull up their LinkedIn profiles? And so here, once again, I could fire off that task, but here you can see that Chrome also oh, interesting. Oh yeah, it's for the Chrome extension, that's fine. And it should be able to actually open and navigate Chrome and do things like this. So it's pretty cool. So, he's going to try to use the Chrome plugin, so I'm going to do that. Great. I didn't have it installed on this demo laptop. Great. Another thing I could also say, for instance, is to show you one last thing, to have another thing going on at the meantime. So see, it's opening now Chrome and controlling Chrome over here. But maybe for another example of how you can use computer use, here, for instance, I had on Slack a message from my teammate the other day saying that for this Vercel incident, we should probably rotate the keys of the secrets. So I can probably say hey, can you open the Reminders app and I don't know, put a reminder for me, I'll do that tonight. And it's oh, okay, I'm gonna use computer use. And once again, it's gonna open up by itself, most likely the Reminders app. And it's gonna be looking at reminders. And sure enough, the Reminders app, is gonna navigate the Reminder app. And we see the cursor moving, it's gonna rotate the keys, and you can have as many of these things as you want. It's really happening in the background. I can still use my computer. So really, really cool. We want to bring computer use to Europe as soon as we possibly can, because this is very cool. And when you start having all of the plugins connecting to all of your context, and you start having all of your skills that define the way you write code at your company. And then when you start having computer use for everything else to kind of navigate your apps, you literally have every possible context now available to Codex in the cloud and locally. So that's really, really convenient to have your agents being so much more effective. So yeah, great. Now, maybe two, 3 more things that I want to highlight. One thing that is very, very interesting for all of you full stack engineers and front-end developers, we know that for a while, GPT models were not the best at designing. That's still something we're pushing hard on, and we're very, very confident the next one will nail this. But in the meantime, it's kind of always almost fixed already, because if you're, I don't know if you've seen this flow, but when you use plugins, there's one plugin that we built called the Build Web Apps plugin. And that one in particular has the ability to create designs using ImageGen And you can end up with, like, let's say with this storefront I built, you can have something that's like beautifully designed with image gen. And then you just tell Codex, go implement that design. And then you have this like almost flawless implementation of a design that has been actually something you saw and reviewed, as opposed to like vibe coding something in the blind where you're not really sure what the design will look like. So that's really, really convenient, this like image gen 2.0 to like GPT 5.5 to implement. The other thing I wanted to show you as well is using image gen for creating games and assets. Like I just simply like sent a prompt to say, hey, I want to create a game called like initially CTO Crossing, and then I renamed it Codex Crossing. But I said like I want something inspired by Animal Crossing, but with great assets for developers. And sure enough, it's like the Codex Pets. It's like generating all of these assets right there. And then you can start like, interacting with, oops, I just tell Codex, can you run the server again? Even easier to talk to Codex than to do it myself. But you can really see like the quality of these assets, the consistency if you want to create sprites for games and everything. It's really, really cool. So that's like GPT image, and you really have it by default when you just ask Codex to generate images. Sure, I'll start the server again. There you go. And it should be back. Yeah, so what VB reminded me is like when you ask Codex to generate images, that's like already included in your ChatGPT subscription. So there's no separate charges for like an API endpoint of sorts. So yeah, so you can really like generate game and let the creativity flow with all of these assets. And then let's see, what else can I do before we go on to take questions? Maybe one fun thing is that like you can really imagine having Codex as an app where you kind of like start talking to it and building, and also the ability to review things. So for instance, I just sent this prompt that said like, can you just generate a default like Space Invaders game that I can just like start, playing with. But what's interesting is like here, I can now keep on commenting while I'm playing the game. So I don't know if any of you have any ideas, but we can just iterate on this game together. What should we do with it? What do you want?
Health bar.
Oh, a health bar? Okay. Let's add a health bar for my character.
London.
Great. Let's cue that. Let's make it goblin themed.
The bad guys are orange crabs.
Okay. So great one. So like.
Maybe not.
So I'm just vibing over here. We'll see what happens. But in this case, I'm actually using Codex Spark, which is the model that runs on Cerebras chips. So it's not as smart as like 5.5 because it's a smaller model, but it's usually responding faster. So let's see, it's still working on this thing. Okay, let's take a look, refresh. Okay, so it's Goblin theme now, cool. All right, I'm gonna do another one, which is, can you wire up a wireless Xbox controller to it? So I always have an Xbox controller hanging around, so hopefully in a few minutes we'll see that. Oh, I guess has it worked on the health bar? I guess that's there? Not sure.
I think that is the health bar.
Yeah, that's the health bar. It did it, yeah. It's pretty cool. Okay. And then the goblins. Okay, cool. It's now like, I guess I'm going out of the context window using this model. Maybe I should go back to this thing. Wire up an Xbox controller. It's a wireless one. And then, in a few seconds, we'll have a wireless controller bound to it, which is pretty cool. I like that I called it Goblin Guard. So let's see, anything else that I forgot, VB, that I should mention? Oh yeah, maybe one thing that's interesting, actually. Really, like, of course, all of you are like developers like we are, but the thing that's like very exciting by Codex being able to tap into all of your context and all of your work is like the amount of things you can now do that are outside of the software realm. Like here, for instance, I was like trying to send this prompt where I'm like trying to put together a presentation in Google Drive about like sales of properties in San Francisco by using a data from a spreadsheet that I downloaded. And I'm like, okay, go ahead and do the thing, make a deck, and also use image gen and everything. That's what it came up with in zero shot. Like you basically have like an entire deck pulling from the data, customized for me using image gen. So really the possibilities are endless. And then I'm gonna add the three of you here on LinkedIn. Meanwhile, while the game is being finished, can I actually play this with an Xbox controller? Let's take a look at this. I think the hardest part is always to connect the controller, and then the actual part of like implementing it is oh, there you go. I can finally play. I didn't even have anything to say. I basically just said I wanted to play it with an Xbox controller. And here I am fighting the goblins. Yeah. I can even, yeah, it's pretty cool. You can literally do anything. It's like fascinating to build with Codex every day. You wanted a picture of me like with the goblins? Is that what you wanted?
Let's do it.
Give the people what they want.
Guys.
There you go. And maybe last but not least, before we open it up for Q&A, right, I think, I'll just tell Codex to, I have, unfortunately, not quite enough swag, but I have one leftover keychain from the Super Bowl gift. So maybe I can pick one of you with Codex to actually have it. So I'll say, hey, I have one leftover swag item from the Super Bowl ad. Could you pick randomly one of the attendees from that list that is present tonight? And then we'll see what Codex decides to do. The suspense is intense. Meanwhile, oh, it's even looking at the checked-in timestamp. Damn. Well, we have Lalit M, who apparently is the winner of this little keychain. Do you recognize yourself? Yes, great. There you have it.